Wow. Now, you probably know that, or maybe you don't. But here's what I do know, is that there are many different ways to think, many different ways to operate your brain. And so, how curious are you? One of my teachers says it's really good to be skeptical and open. How about that for a thought? Skeptical, but open. So, every once in a while you go through this plateau that is flat, and then you feel like it's time to learn something new. And I was talking to a bunch of friends, and they were, hey man, have you ever gone to see this guy, Joe Dispenza? And I go, God, no, I've heard about him. He's written a few books. I see some stuff randomly on YouTube, but I haven't. And then about 3 weeks later, somebody else says to me, hey, have you ever gone to this guy named Joe Dispenza? And then a week later, somebody else, and I'm like, okay, I guess I better go. Right? I kept on hearing it. So I asked my assistant to put in for a request, because he's so popular that when he announces his next event, they sell out like in a couple of hours. So I was lucky enough to get into his event that took place recently in Mexico. And even during these COVID times, there was a lot of people there. There was over 1,300, but it was appropriately spaced out and everybody wearing masks and everything like that. And so check it out. It's like 7 days of meditation. Now, if you asked me if I could do 7 days of meditation, and it wasn't the whole day, I probably would have gone, no, I don't want to go to that. But I've done some meditation in India, and I've been dabbling with it. I would say dabbling because I do it, but I don't think I do it at the level that I wanted to. And I felt like this was the right invitation. So I go down there and we start off the first day with about an hour and a half of theory. And then we end up doing an hour and a half of meditation. And sure enough, the very first meditation, I'm front row right there, and I get totally into it with the breathing exercises, and don't I faint and fall off my chair and smash my head into the carpet. And I'm fumbling around on the carpet, wake up, I have no idea where I am. I wake up, blood literally pouring down my face. And Joe looks over at me and he goes, he'll be fine. Because people are trying to scramble to help me. And so I literally crawl back up to my chair and sit there all dazed and confused. And so that was the opening meditation. And we went on to do multiple meditations every day, including 2 4-hour meditations. Meditations that included walking on the beach for an hour and a half. Meditations that included getting up at 4 a.m. Meditations that included nighttime walks on the beach. But I'll tell you what, I learned that there's a whole other part and aspect to our brain, to our nervous system. And what Joe teaches in a nutshell that I can leave you with is that our mind is our thoughts and our body is our emotions. And that we are addicted chemically and neurologically to behaving in certain ways. And I discovered that I tend to look at all the things that I want to improve, all the things I want to make better. So I'll look at my investments, how do I make them better? I look at the mess in the house, how do I fix it up? And I never realized I had this filter of looking at things, wanting to make them better. But guess what? The residual, right? The shrapnel on me was that I was discontented. Because when you're here and you want things to be over here, there's a gap, there's a separation. And fear is not the opposite of love. Fear is the separation from love. And so if you're constantly looking at things that aren't the way you want them to be, you create a separation from joy and happiness. So although I have that part of me that's entrepreneurial to fix things, I also had an emotional body experience of being dissatisfied. And so with that insight, I thought, what other insights are there for me? What other lenses am I looking at life through that are discolored or dysfunctional on some level? And so the journey begins of self-awareness. The journey begins of watching myself, watch myself, have a conversation with myself. So I know that's pretty deep, but I just wanted to share with you that if I've been doing personal development for 30 years and I've come across these new insights after this period of time, that have made me laugh and made me cry, that have given me an opportunity to see life differently, then maybe there's something that you don't know that you don't know. Maybe there's something that, you think that's you're a fish in water, but you're really not. Maybe you think that life is just a certain way, like it's difficult or money's hard to make. So how much are you willing to expand to change your limiting beliefs? One of the things that Joe talks about is the fact that we are massively limited as humans. We are actually a bundle of limitations. And we walk around with this inner narrative, which is continually just a constant conversation about, I'm not in the mood, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, I can't, I won't, it doesn't work. And the media contributes heavily to that, yes? Constantly telling you, what if there's a bubble? What if this doesn't work out? You gotta be careful of this, gotta be careful of that. There's a pill for this. What if you're depressed and you need to do this and blah, blah, blah. So we end up with 95% of our thoughts being virtually negative, and we live in a state of fight or flight almost all the time, which creates acid and dis-ease in our body. It's been proven scientifically and medically that meditation actually increases your ability of your immune system to fight disease. Wow. Now you probably know that, or maybe you don't. But here's what I do know, is that there are many different ways to think, many different ways to operate your brain. And so how curious are you? One of my teachers says it's really good to be skeptical and open. How about that for a thought? Skeptical, but open. So you could be skeptical that there's different ways to operate your body, your life, your brain. But are you open? Are you curious? Are you willing to look at things in a different way? So if you want to have the highest experience on this journey called life, I would highly, highly recommend that you check out some of Joe's work, that you do some curiosity poking around into meditation and see if there isn't some lenses that you're wearing that could be shifted for an opportunity for you to see the world in a different light. So that's my invitation to you. This is a little bit of a conversation around consciousness. And let me leave you with this last metaphor. It might help you out. I think that most people live in one of four levels of consciousness. The first level of consciousness is the life is happening to me. It's where the government or the economy or things, your ex, if they would only, not do this or do that, it's life is happening to you. And we call that the victim state, because in the victim state, you give up your power to the outside world. Does that make sense? It's not that you are a victim. It's just that you are a victim to your circumstances, right? You're not taking ownership. But the second level, you take ownership, and that's what we call the striver or the achiever. And this person says, look, if it's gonna be, it's up to me, it's by me, I'll make it happen, massive action, goals, push through. And I lived a big part of my life there, and I still do live a part of my life there. If it's gonna be, it's up to me, I'm gonna make it happen. And that's, the success or the achiever model. But it's a grind, it's hard work. You end up burning out and getting tired, and you can get bitter also in that process of oscillating between those two. The third one is through me. And this is when you're more in harmony with the universe. You're in sync. And I know for some people that's kind of a little woo-hooey, and it was for me too. But when you start to make those choices and you start to be in alignment with the way things are, then you start to feel like it's not that difficult. And things start to come to you. At least you're open to it and you see the opportunities. A lot of times things are coming to you, but you're in the grind mode. It's gotta be difficult, so you say, no, I'm busy. Or you're in the victim mode and you don't trust it. You've got shame, guilt, and worry around it, so you don't even see it, don't even acknowledge it. Make sense? And then the last one we'll probably reserve for the Buddhas of the world and for the monks, because that's when it is as me. That's when they are oneness. You maybe heard of that concept. So that's when they are everything, right? You and me and quantum soup and the Deepak Chopras of the world, it's like we are all one huge universe. So I can't say I've had that experience. I maybe had glimpses of it for a second or two, but I would invite you to consider that if you feel like you're in that victim, like life's happening to you and it's really difficult, or you're striving, working really, really hard and you feel like it's a grind, then there's another level maybe to aspire to, and that's going to happen. And that door of possibility is going to come to you through meditation. It's going to come to you through slowing down. It's going to come to you through thinking that you don't have to necessarily push so hard. There's a great book you might want to grab called Power versus Force. And that power versus force crosses the line right there in the middle, right after the success model, right? So force is here. Force against the things that are happening to you. Force and push and make it happen. And then power is over here as you connect to the universal power. So I know that's a little bit of a different conversation, but maybe it's something that's intriguing to you, and maybe it plants a seed in your mind that it's something for you to now give some of your time and attention to, and move away from working so hard to working in harmony and with grace. So there you have it, the 4 levels of consciousness and your opportunity to elevate and move into a more harmonious way of living your life.